We are all well aware that life in the military is the toughest of them all. While it is highly glamorized and a lot of patriotic fervor is whipped up in the movies, reality is quite a far cry from what's shown in most movies. While watching Rambo take on an army on his own through the jungles in Vietnam or the deserts of Afghanistan would give anybody the adrenaline rush, we get to hear very little about the tough lives that these soldiers have to undergo on a day-in, day-out basis. Understandably, a soldier's job requires a lot of physical as well as mental fitness, and so it is obvious that they are required to go through a lot of drills to keep them battle-ready. However, many a time these training techniques carry it a bit too far, almost to the breaking point, like some of the ones we will discuss today. We have seen circus artistes jumping through a loop of fire, but this military training exercise in Belarus is a totally different ballgame. Belarus is often referred to as the last dictatorship of Europe. In seeing this training regime, it indeed is not very difficult to imagine it as one. After a 10-kilometer march, aspiring military trainees are required to walk over burning logs and balance beams. And to make it a little more interesting, a generous dose of gunfire and car tires are thrown at the feet to try and knock them off balance. Well, this is just the starter. Imagine building blocks are set on fire, and your commanding officer barks an order to break through them using your head. If they get through this alive, well then they can make it to the ministry's elite Red Berets group. On an average, a soldier requires 5 tries to make it through this regimen. In the good old days, a soldier would have to prove his worth by doing a few difficult exercises, fighting mock battles with colleagues, or successfully navigating an assault course. Now, some of the stuff they do in training are downright horrendous. Some US Marines are required to drink blood dripping from a, hold your breath, dead cobra and rip the heads off chickens with their bare teeth. This was part of a jungle survival exercise participated by 13,000 soldiers from 7 countries in the forests of Thailand. After they were taught how to kill venomous cobras by Thai instructors, Marines were encouraged to experience the local custom of drinking the animal's blood. They were also required to eat scorpions and bugs as a means to survive in the wild, to simulate situations where they don't have access to their usual food. Now, this training exercise of Taiwan is strangely named as Road to Heaven, and the path thereto is nothing but hell. This is the final phase of a 9-week amphibious training program held at the Zhuying in southern Taiwan. In addition to several rigorous exercises, the soldiers are made to crawl on a 50-meter path filled with rocks and corals with sharp edges. And all this to be done bare-bodied. While it does look inhuman, the primary aim of this kind of hardship being imposed is to create a cadre of tough superheroes who can face the worst of adversities and still have the ability to inflict damage on the enemy. Every part of the US Navy SEAL training is supposed to be crazy and meant to stretch human endurance levels to its limits. But some of their drills are unbelievably tough, like drown-proofing, for instance. The SEALs, with their lungs fully inflated, float in a 9-foot pool in nearly vertical posture. Using their hands and legs to exert downward pressure, they keep their mouths above the surface to inhale deeply before dropping back to a relaxed float state. This is repeated around 10 times. Then the water torture begins. Their hands are tied behind their back and feet tied at the ankles. They are required to bob up and down at least 20 times, float for 5 minutes, swim to the shallow end of the pool, turn around without touching the bottom, swim to the deep end, do a forward and backward somersault, and retrieve a mask lying at the bottom of the pool with their teeth. Hold on, it's not over yet. Finally, an instructor attacks the SEAL to stimulate a combative drowning victim. The Naval Special Operations Group of Philippines is an elite small unit of their Navy trained in special operations, sabotage, psychological, and unconventional warfare. In the last week of their Navy SEAL training, they are deprived of sleep for an entire week and are allowed only 1 hour of rest in a day. And as they struggle to keep awake, they are required to do rigorous exercises, target shooting, run for 6 miles, and swim a small matter of 18 miles. And by the way, did I mention that while they perform these easy tasks, they are required to stay drunk? At least the drill is aptly named as Hell Week. The South Koreans are having a cold war with their northern neighbors for decades, and seem to have devised a literal version as well. Around 200 of their finest special forces travel to the icy region of Pyeongchang, where the temperatures are in the range of minus 30 degrees Celsius to do some military training. At those extreme temperatures, they virtually do everything that ordinary civilians would struggle with in pleasant circumstances. They run marathons, they wrestle, they do gymnastics, and all this bare-bodied. And the icing on the cake is that they throw snowballs at each other as well. The Chinese forces as well do a slightly less intensive ice training near their border with Russia. At sub-zero temperatures, they crawl the snow half naked carrying their swords. With the kind of military budgets of most countries, training is very serious business and is definitely not for the faint-hearted. Besides physical fitness, it also requires a high level of mental alertness, discipline, and unflinching courage. Soldiers undergoing training at the People's Liberation Army of China take it a level above and play a life-and-death game of hot potato with a live grenade. In an exercise done by their troops stationed at Hong Kong, they pass live explosives around to one another, till the last one finally throws it into a hole, literally seconds before it is expected to explode. Finally, all of them leap for cover before the grenade explodes, covering their heads for protection. Well guys, those are some of the toughest military training exercises carried out to test the skills, fitness, endurance, and mental fortitude of those who are required to protect us. It's an onerous task, and I guess the guys who have devised these exercises know what a strong human body with a sound mind can achieve. Hope you guys like this video, and if so, please press the like button and subscribe to the channel. I will see you soon, and thanks for watching.